Have you ever found yourself wondering, there's got to be more to life than this, right? I mean, everything might look great on paper. Like you got the job, you got the house, you got the good relationships, but there's still something that's missing. And that yearning for something more meaningful is what we're going to explore today. And I think a good place to start is to kind of go back in time to when we were children. And starting at a very young age, we are told kind of who we are going to be and how our life is going to look. And we go to school and we're told this is what you're going to learn. We just kind of have our whole lives cut out for us by external influences before we ever really have a chance to figure out what it is that we want to do with our life. And to meet these expectations, what we begin to do is develop a mask. And I don't mean like a physical mask, but we learn to hide parts of ourselves that we think are unacceptable or that might lead to rejection. And so it's a persona that we develop to fit into societal expectations of who we should be. When we begin to wear this mask more and more, and we really begin to associate it as, our default state of who we are, this is where we really begin to disconnect from our authentic self. And this disconnection is what leads to the feelings of emptiness, of anxiety, of a loss of identity. And the more that we rely on this mask, the further that we drift away from our true nature. And so I think the journey to self-discovery and fulfillment really begins with recognizing the masks that we are wearing so that we can then begin work on shedding those masks. A couple of years ago, I might be exactly where you are right now. And so on the outside, I had all of the things, right? I had the job title, I had the salary, I lived in a beautiful home, my relationships were great. But despite having everything that society said I should want, behind this mask that I was wearing and behind this role that I was playing that didn't align with my morals or values or really what I wanted to contribute to the world, there was a really strong sense of disconnect and emptiness on the inside. I really just felt like I was at a point in my life where I was going through the motions. I was working, I was paying bills, I was binge watching Netflix, and then I was just repeating this cycle. And this is really where I began to wonder, like, there's got to be more to life than this, right? This was also a time when I felt like a victim of my circumstances, and I was really operating in this victim consciousness where if anything bad ever happened, it was someone else's fault or it was something that was beyond my control. And so if I was late for something important, I would blame traffic instead of realizing that maybe I should have left a little earlier for that important thing that I had to be at. And if something didn't go as planned, I would just blame it on bad luck if things didn't go according to my plans, instead of looking for the silver lining and the lesson that could be learned when things didn't go my way. Because there's a lot to be learned when you don't get what you want as well. Arguably more so. And so this mindset really kept me stuck and feeling just powerless. And once I had resigned myself to this belief system of being a victim, that's really what played out in my reality on repeat. All of that changed when life threw me a curveball and I experienced a really profound awakening that really shifted my perspective on life. And so I had unexpectedly lost my job a couple of years ago. And with that, I lost the illusion of control that I thought I had over my life at the time. And so I was really just marinating in these feelings of failure and anxiety and depression and really just uncertainty and a complete lack of power. And while it took me a little bit of time, I eventually began leaning into this discomfort and this bad situation And I would have these small moments of clarity, which ultimately led me to begin questioning everything. And that was really the start of this spiritual awakening that I went through. The awakening process isn't fun or easy or comfortable or anything like that, because you're really challenging these hard-seated beliefs and perceptions that have molded you into the person that you are today. But the more that I challenged these old belief systems, the more I began to realize that this journey of awakening wasn't going to be at all about becoming someone new. It was really going to be about coming back home to the person that I always was all along and that had been lost along the way. And the more that I aligned myself with my true nature, the more connected I became to this person inside that was just waiting for me very patiently. And so I slowly began peeling away the societal expectations that had been bestowed upon me and the self-limiting beliefs that were really holding me back. And I really became a conscious participant in the unfolding of my life, instead of an innocent bystander that was just watching life go by and happen to me, really. One of the most significant realizations from this awakening was that the traditional markers of success really do leave us feeling unfulfilled. And so society has really conditioned us from a young age to believe that these external milestones, like the job or the nice house or the car, can lead to happiness. As many of us have discovered, there seems to be no correlation whatsoever between the external markers of success and inner fulfillment. And in this pursuit for material success, we get led into a trap of greed, which is a product of the mind. And so it's just this endless cycle of achieving one goal and then immediately setting our sights to something even bigger without ever really stopping to feel satisfied or content at any point. And that's because the truth is that we are spiritual beings that are having this human experience. And so our souls are craving meaning and purpose and connection, and those are things that cannot be purchased. And so when we focus solely on the material success and we really neglect our spiritual growth, that's what leads to feelings of emptiness and unfulfillment on the inside. And so recognizing that you are comprised of this spiritual nature really is the first step to fulfillment. Now you're probably wondering, well, this all sounds great, but where is the science behind this? And that's a fair question, especially for someone like myself that is science-based. But honestly, many of these spiritual concepts like soul and consciousness, just because they are beyond the current scientific method and what they can measure and prove, doesn't mean that it isn't real. And throughout history, there have been countless phenomena that were once considered immeasurable and then were later accepted as scientific fact. And so our inability to measure something, I don't think, should negate its impact or its existence. And I just invite you to approach these ideas and concepts with an open mind and an open heart. And the first concept that I'd like to introduce is a very simple practice of just asking better questions. Because when we ask higher quality questions, it can really improve our life experience. And so if you're stuck in a victim mindset like I was for a very long time, and you're asking questions like, who's to blame or why is this happening to me? Try asking yourself, what can I learn from this experience? And if you're stuck in the greed mindset and you're always asking, how can I get more stuff? Try asking yourself, how can I grow more instead? And what these questions do is they really take the focus away from these external achievements and they turn that attention towards your internal growth. And the second concept that I would like to introduce is I would like you to envision that the universe is a radio station that is constantly broadcasting just positive energies and love and opportunities. And all of this good stuff is just floating around us all the time, and we're literally swimming in it. And while this might sound fascinating and abstract, it's not just spiritual philosophy. It's actually mind-bending discoveries that have been made in quantum physics, which is basically the science of the incredibly small. Quantum physics has revealed that the universe is far more interconnected and brimming with potential than we ever imagined. And it suggests that at its most fundamental level, that everything is connected through invisible fields of information. And just like a radio station, this universal broadcast is always transmitting, whether anyone is listening to it or not. And this broadcast of good is just a constant presence that is pulsing with possibility. And our challenge is tuning into this broadcast. And instead of turning a dial to get the right station on the radio, this is more about tuning your awareness and mindset so that you can perceive this flow of good. Interestingly, quantum physics hints at something similar. And so they suggest that the very act of observing or focusing your attention can actually influence the behavior of particles. And so in essence, your awareness can really actually help shape your reality. So as we open up to this universal broadcast, we begin to just notice the positive aspects of our life more. We have opportunities that appear more frequently. We feel more deeply connected to others and to the world around us. And the moments of joy and peace become more abundant. We also gain deeper alignment to our soul's purpose. And so the more attuned that we are to this broadcast, the more naturally we are drawn to certain activities or relationships or paths that really align with our innermost being. And so by doing this inner work of cleaning up our perceptions and our old belief systems and our thoughts, it's really like we're just fine-tuning our receiver for this universal broadcast, which then means that more good can flow into our life. Your spiritual senses are really just waiting to be activated. And the deeper that you go on this journey, you're going to begin to realize that there's a lot more to life than what you've seen on the surface. And that this deeper reality that exists within you is your authentic self. And it is unburdened by societal expectations or the superficial wants of your ego or the limiting beliefs that you've adopted to this point. This is the part of you that holds your deepest wisdom, and it holds your unique gifts for you to contribute to the world. And it also holds your connection to something that is much greater than you. And tapping into this is going to allow you to live much more authentically and purposefully. And I also just want to quickly mention gratitude, which I think is like a buzzword at this point. Because I think when most people think of gratitude, they think of just listing off as many possible things as they can in their head. But the key to gratitude is to actually feeling the feeling of being grateful. And what gratitude does is it shifts you out of a lack mindset and into a mindset of abundance. And so it really just opens up the floodgates for more good to flow in your life because it really helps you attune to that universal broadcast. As I wrap up this video, I just want to leave you with one last thought, that whatever your heart's true desires are deep down, that's in harmony with what the universe wants for you as well. And so your genuine dreams and aspirations are not random by any means, and they're not selfish and they're not crazy. They're connected to your life purpose and your greater good. And so this means that when you follow your heart's desires and not those desires of society or your friends and family or your ego, you begin to align yourself with the flow of the universe. And these desires that are within you really are like signposts that are kind of guiding you to your highest potential and your unique contribution to the world. And I honestly believe that by trusting and acting upon these desires really is the key to living a life full of fulfillment and meaning. And so with that said, I just want to thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed exploring these concepts with me. This really was just an introduction, and I am going to be diving much more into these on my channel in the future. And so if you could give this video a like if you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate it. And maybe even consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'm John. I'll see you in the next one, and I hope that you will be well.